Spider-Man has worn more costumes than any other superhero in comic book history. Some were gifts, some were accidents, one was alive and tried to eat him. Here is every major suit explained. The classic red and blue. Peter Parker sewed it himself, and the homemade origin is the suit's most important detail because it establishes the principle that defines every suit on this list. Spider-Man is not given his costume by a billionaire or a government agency or an alien armory. He makes it in his room with a sewing machine. The original red and blue suit debuted in Amazing Fantasy 15 in 1962, designed by Steve Ditko, and its visual language communicates everything the audience needs to know about the character before a single line of dialogue is spoken. The webbing pattern across the red sections is intricate, hand-drawn lines that cover the mask, torso, boots, and gloves in a network so dense that it implies obsessive craftsmanship from a teenager whose other notable skill is science. The eyes are the suit's signature feature, large white lenses bordered by black that give Spider-Man an expression that is simultaneously alien and emotive despite being completely static. Ditko's original design gave the lenses a shape that conveyed alertness without revealing the face beneath, and every subsequent artist, animator, and costume designer in the character's 63-year history has used those lenses as the emotional anchor of the mask. The red and blue color scheme was selected for visual contrast on newsstand covers, the bright primary colors ensuring that Spider-Man would stand out against any background the artist placed him in, and the decision to split the colors between red on the torso, mask, and boots, and blue on the legs and arms created a visual rhythm that breaks the body into readable sections from any distance. The suit has no armor, no technology, no built-in weapon systems. It is fabric, sewn by a teenager, worn by a teenager, and maintained by a teenager whose budget for costume repair comes from freelance photography sales to a newspaper editor who uses the photos to publicly slander the person in the pictures. The classic suit is the franchise's most important piece of design because it is the design that proved a superhero costume does not need to look powerful. It needs to look personal. The Symbiote suit. It was alive and Peter did not know. The black suit debuted in 1984 during Marvel's Secret Wars crossover, and its origin is the franchise's most consequential wardrobe change because the suit eventually became Venom, one of Marvel's most popular characters, a development that nobody at Marvel planned when the alien costume was first introduced. On Battleworld, Spider-Man's red and blue suit is damaged during combat. He finds a machine that he believes will repair it. The machine produces a black sphere that flows over his body and becomes a new costume, sleek, black, with a white spider symbol on the chest and white patches on the back of each hand. The suit responds to Peter's thoughts. It can generate its own webbing. It can change shape to mimic civilian clothing. It enhances his strength. It is, by every functional metric, a superior costume to the one it replaced. And it is alive. The symbiote is a sentient alien organism that bonds with its host and feeds on their emotional energy, amplifying aggressive impulses while deepening the psychological connection between the suit and the wearer until the two become inseparable. Peter notices the changes gradually. He is angrier. He is more reckless. He wakes up exhausted because the suit has been taking his body out at night while he sleeps, swinging through the city and fighting crime without his conscious participation. The discovery that the suit is alive and feeding on him produces the franchise's most iconic costume scene. Peter goes to the bell tower of a church knowing that the symbiote is vulnerable to sonic vibrations and uses the bells to force the suit off his body. The symbiote screams. It clings. It does not want to leave. And when it finally separates, it does not die. It finds another host, Eddie Brock, and becomes Venom, carrying Peter's memories, Peter's powers, and Peter's face inside a creature that hates the man who rejected it. The black suit is the franchise's most consequential costume because it is the only suit that became a villain. If you are enjoying this so far, hit the subscribe button and leave a comment with the Spider-Man suit you think looks the best. Let us get back into it. The Scarlet Spider suit. Ben Reilly built it from a hoodie, and the franchise never recovered from how good it looked. The Scarlet Spider suit debuted in 1994 during the Clone Saga, one of the most divisive storylines in Spider-Man history, and its design is the most defiantly simple costume any Spider-Man variant has ever worn. Ben Reilly is a clone of Peter Parker who spent 5 years wandering America under assumed names, and when he returned to New York and decided to fight crime under his own identity, he assembled a costume from available materials. Red spandex bodysuit, blue sleeveless hoodie, torn and frayed, external web shooters on the wrists, no mask pattern, no web lines, no intricate detailing. The suit looks like it was put together in a gas station bathroom by someone who had $15.45. The design works because the roughness communicates something the classic suit's craftsmanship does not. Desperation. Ben Reilly is not Peter Parker. He does not have a home, a job, a support system, or the luxury of spending hours at a sewing machine perfecting a costume. He has a hoodie and a cause, and the hoodie is enough. Spider-Man 29. Miguel O'Hara's suit is not red and blue. It is red and dark blue that reads as black, and the difference is a century of design evolution that separates a friendly neighborhood vigilante from a corporate genetic experiment gone wrong. The Spider-Man 2099 suit debuted in 1992, designed by Rick Leonardi, and its visual language is radically different from Peter Parker's classic costume. The mask is a skull-like design with red eyes and a pattern that evokes Dia de los Muertos iconography, reflecting Miguel's Mexican-Irish heritage and the cultural context of Nueva York, a future version of New York City controlled by megacorporations whose aesthetic blends cyberpunk technology with Latin American visual traditions. The suit is made from unstable molecule fabric, a material Miguel originally created for a Day of the Dead festival, which makes it resistant to damage and capable of generating an airfoil web cape that allows controlled gliding across the city's skyscraper canyons. The 2099 suit has no web shooters because Miguel does not need them. His genetic mutation gave him organic spinnerets and talons on his fingers and toes that allow him to cling to surfaces without adhesive pads. The suit accommodates these biological modifications through openings in the fingertips and toes that let the talons extend without tearing the fabric. Spider-Man 2099 is the franchise's most aesthetically complete alternate Spider-Man because every element of his suit connects to a specific detail of his biology, his culture, or his world. Barbar, the Iron Spider. Tony Stark built Peter Parker a suit of armor, and the armor changed the character's relationship with technology permanently. The Iron Spider debuted in 2006 during Marvel's Civil War storyline, and its design is the franchise's most controversial costume because it represents everything Spider-Man is not supposed to be. The suit is red and gold, matching Iron Man's color scheme rather than Spider-Man's. It is made of liquid metal nanotechnology that can repair itself, change shape, and deploy 3 mechanical spider arms from the back that function as additional limbs in combat. It has a heads-up display. It has environmental filters, it has communication systems, tracking systems, and integration with Stark Industries' satellite network. The Iron Spider is the most technologically advanced suit Spider-Man has ever worn in the comics, and it is the one that fits him worst because every feature the suit provides is a feature Peter did not earn through his own ingenuity. The classic suit was sewn by hand, the symbiote was found by accident. The Iron Spider was given to Peter by a billionaire whose generosity came with strings, specifically the expectation that Peter would support Tony's position on the Superhuman Registration Act during Civil War. The suit is a gift and a leash, technology that enhances Spider-Man's capabilities while simultaneously marking him as Iron Man's subordinate, and Peter's eventual decision to abandon the Iron Spider and return to his classic costume is the franchise's clearest statement about what Spider-Man's suit is supposed to represent. Independence. The Raimi suit. Tobey Maguire's costume looked like it cost more than Spider-Man would earn in a lifetime, and the contradiction between the suit's quality and the character's poverty is the one detail the Raimi trilogy never addressed because addressing it would break the illusion. The 2002 Sam Raimi Spider-Man suit is a practical costume built by Marvel's costume department, and its design translates Ditko's original illustration into three-dimensional reality with a fidelity that the franchise's previous live-action attempts, the 1977 television movie's flat spandex suit, never achieved. The raised silver webbing is the suit's most distinctive feature. A physical, three-dimensional pattern applied to the red sections of the costume that catches light and shadow in ways that flat, printed webbing cannot replicate, giving the suit a tactile quality that reads as craftsmanship even through a movie screen. The eyes are reflective silver-mirrored lenses that prevent the audience from seeing Tobey Maguire's face while Spider-Man is masked, a choice that preserves the character's anonymity but sacrifices the emotional expressiveness that later film versions would address through mechanical lenses. The Raimi suit's color palette is darker than the comics. The blue shifted toward a deep navy that reads as almost black in low-light sequences, and the red is richer and more saturated than Ditko's flat primary color. The Amazing Spider-Man suit. Andrew Garfield wore 2 suits across 2 films, and the second one is the closest any live-action costume has come to replicating the comic book original. The first Amazing Spider-Man suit from 2012 is deliberately rough, a homemade costume whose visible seams, textured fabric, and elongated eye lenses communicate that this Peter Parker assembled his suit from commercially available materials rather than custom fabricated components. The sunglasses-derived eye lenses are the most discussed design choice, their angular shape giving the mask a more aggressive expression than either the Raimi suit's reflective ovals or the comics' classic curves. The second suit, debuting in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 in 2014, abandoned the homemade aesthetic entirely and produced a costume so faithful to the classic comic design that fans consider it the definitive live-action Spider-Man suit. The eyes are larger and rounder, the colors are brighter, the blue shifted from navy to a true comic-accurate blue. The webbing pattern is more prominent. And the spider symbol on the chest is bigger, bolder, and more visually dominant than any previous film version. The Superior Spider-Man suit. Dr. Octopus stole Peter Parker's body and designed a better costume because Doc Ock's ego would not permit him to wear another man's design while operating as a superior version of that man. The Superior Spider-Man suit debuted in 2013 during Dan Slott's run, and its design communicates Otto Octavius's personality through every modification he makes to Peter's classic template. The red is darker, shifted toward a black red that reads as more aggressive than Peter's bright primary red. The eye lenses are narrower and more angular, giving the mask a perpetual glare that reflects Otto's contempt for the enemies Peter was too soft to permanently stop. The spider symbol is redesigned with sharper, more geometric legs. And the suit incorporates technology that Peter's classic costume never carried, including retractable talons in the fingers, enhanced lenses with multiple vision modes, and 4 mechanical spider arms built into the back that extend Otto's combat reach beyond what Peter's organic abilities provide. The Superior suit is the franchise's most psychologically revealing costume because every change Otto makes to Peter's design reveals something Otto believes Peter got wrong. The Miles Morales suit. He spray-painted a store-bought costume and the spray paint became iconic. Miles Morales' first suit is a modified version of a commercially available Spider-Man Halloween costume, a mass-produced replica of Peter Parker's red and blue suit that Miles purchases and then customizes with black spray paint because a 13-year-old who has just inherited the responsibilities of a dead hero does not have access to a costume department. The spray paint covers the red sections in black, turning the bright primary colors into a darker palette that reflects both Miles's personal aesthetic and his desire to distinguish himself from the Spider-Man he is replacing. The final Miles Morales suit, the red and black design with the spray paint effect details, is the franchise's most commercially successful modern Spider-Man costume because its colors, its energy, and its association with Into the Spider-Verse have made it recognizable to a generation of fans who encountered Miles before they encountered Peter. Born the Spider-Gwen suit. Robbie Rodriguez designed a costume so good that it transcended its character and became a fashion icon independent of the comics it appeared in. The Spider-Gwen suit, worn by Gwen Stacy of Earth-65, debuted in 2014 in Edge of Spider-Verse, and its design is the most radical departure from the classic Spider-Man template that any canon spider suit has ever attempted. The color scheme is white, black, pink, and teal, completely abandoning the red and blue palette that every previous Spider-Man variant maintained. The hood is the suit's signature feature, a fabric hood that frames the mask in a silhouette that evokes both athletic wear and street fashion. The ballet slippers replace boots, reflecting Gwen's background as a drummer whose physicality is artistic rather than athletic. The eyes are white on black, inverting the classic white on red, and their size and shape give the mask an expression that reads as alert and stylish simultaneously. The Spider-Gwen suit crossed over from comics into fashion almost immediately after its debut. appearing on sneakers, hoodies, dresses, and accessories that were purchased by people who had never read a comic book. The MCU progression. Tom Holland wore more Spider-Man suits across 6 films than any other actor, and the progression from the first suit to the last tells the story of a teenager learning to stop relying on other people's technology. The homemade suit from Captain America, Civil War, is deliberate garbage, a red hoodie, blue sweatpants, and swimming goggles that communicate Peter's resourcefulness and his poverty simultaneously. The Stark suit, given to Peter by Tony in Homecoming, is a technological marvel with an AI assistant named Karen, 576 web shooter combinations, a reconnaissance drone, a heater, and a parachute. The Iron Spider suit from Infinity War adds nanotechnology and 4 mechanical spider arms. The integrated suit from No Way Home merges Stark technology with the mystic properties of Doctor Strange's spells. Each suit is more advanced than the last. Each suit is given to Peter rather than built by him. And the franchise's most important costume moment is the final one, where Peter, having been erased from everyone's memory by Strange's spell, sews a new suit by hand in his empty apartment using a sewing machine and fabric he purchased himself. The final suit is red and blue. No AI, no nanotechnology, no 576 web shooter combinations, just fabric, sewn by a teenager, worn by a teenager. The MCU's Spider-Man spent 6 films receiving increasingly advanced suits from increasingly powerful benefactors and ended his arc exactly where the character began in 1962, alone, in a room, with a needle and thread, and the understanding that the suit was never supposed to be impressive, it was supposed to be his. The advanced suit. Insomniac Games designed a suit so instantly iconic that it displays 60 years of Spider-Man design history in the cultural conversation within weeks of the game's release. The advanced suit from Marvel's Spider-Man on PlayStation 4, debuting in 2018, is the first Spider-Man costume in franchise history to be designed specifically for a video game and subsequently adopted into the broader Marvel canon because the design was too good to remain platform exclusive. The white spider symbol is the suit's defining feature, a large angular spider that stretches across the chest and wraps around the back, its white coloring providing a visual anchor that draws the eye to the center of the torso. The suit's red panels are bordered by white trim that separates them from the blue sections with a precision that the classic suit's color transitions never achieved. The design communicates experience rather than youth. An older Peter Parker who has been Spider-Man for 8 years, and whose costume reflects the refinement that comes from nearly a decade of iterating on the original. The Advanced Suit 2.0 from Marvel's Spider-Man 2 on PlayStation 5 evolves the design further, slimming the white spider, adjusting the color distribution, and adding blue sections to the arms that the original Advanced Suit left entirely red. The PS5 sequel also introduced the Symbiote suit into the Insomniac continuity, a black suit whose tendrils and organic texture make it the most visually dynamic version of the symbiote costume any medium has ever produced, and the anti-venom suit that follows, white and black with biomechanical detailing, concluded Miles and Peter's symbiote arc with a design whose inverted color scheme communicated purification through visual language alone. And that is every major Spider-Man suit the franchise has produced across 63 years of comics, films, cartoons, and video games. The pattern underneath all of them is the same tension the franchise has never resolved and never wants to. Technology versus simplicity, gift versus craft, given versus made. Every suit on this list that was given to Peter by someone more powerful, the symbiote from Battleworld, the Iron Spider from Stark, the nanotechnology from the MCU, eventually became a problem that Peter had to solve by returning to the original principle. A teenager, a sewing machine, a suit that does nothing except cover the face of the person doing everything. Spider-Man's costume was never the source of his power. It was the disguise that let him use it, and the franchise's 63-year history of increasingly elaborate suits has only ever proved that the first one, the simplest one, the one Peter sewed in his room with fabric he bought with newspaper money, was always enough.